Is the American Dufus Show. Don't be a doofus. Thank you all for watching. I'm your host, Barry Welsh, and we are broadcasting live on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube. So again, thank you all for watching, and greatly appreciate it. As always, hit the subscribe button, the like, the share, hit the follow, whatever may be on whatever platform you happen to be watching. And if you're not watching live and you're watching the replay, as most people do, I thank you very much for doing that. And I can't see the comments with the new software I'm trying out at the moment. So again, most of you watch this on the replay. So leave your comments below and I'll make sure and try to check those out. Let's get right to the news for tonight. We do things a little differently around here. We give you the news, but we don't sugarcoat anything. We don't do a lot of unnecessary editing. We show you what's happening and try to explain why it's happening. And if we can't do it, we look for the experts to give us a clue as to why and what and where and how and everything that goes along with it. And we start out tonight with brief footage from Radio Free Europe. And I'll play the footage first. And we did. We shared video. Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. Of course, I'm the producer, the director, the host, the writer, the guy responsible for cleaning off the camera lens. So, okay. I wanted to go to this. Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty suspends operations in Russia. That's why I started with that clip. After Russian tax authorities initiated bankruptcy proceedings against Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty, Russian entity, on March the 4th, which was 2 days ago now, as we are officially past midnight, and it is Sunday, March the 6th. So on Friday, Russia basically initiated bankrupt proceedings, trying to drive them off the air. And then police intensified pressure on the journalists, and the news outlet halted operations. And this was one of my last verifiable sources at the moment to what's going on inside Russia. I'm working on getting some other things. Okay, I'm working on finding some other sources, trying to help us stay informed in what's going on inside a country that's ever more isolated and ever more closing itself off. Visa and MasterCard both announced they'll be suspending operations. About 75% of the purchases in Russia are done through Visa and MasterCard. So an already reeling economy is going to be crippled even more. That creates incredibly dire straits, and that makes the actions of Vladimir Putin even that more unpredictable, in my opinion. The question was asked, When do we get to start calling American billionaires oligarchs? A fair question, since that's basically who controls the political system. The billionaires provide the funding for both political parties in one way or another, and it's something that I felt worth mentioning. So this afternoon we had breaking news, and the breaking news was about Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner, and it's questionable whether she's a former WNBA player or a current WNBA player that was playing for a team in Moscow. And the report earlier was that she was trying to leave Moscow today and was stopped at the airport, stopped by Moscow security, their version of TSA, and was found to have hashish oil. Okay. That was the initial report, and that was it. Now, remember, just before I started talking about this, I told you that all of the independent, all of the non-Russian government-controlled media is basically gone from Russia. All we are going to hear coming out of Russia, with the exception of individual social media accounts, which I'm going to get to in a minute, all we're going to hear is the Russian side of things, so to speak. So it was released initially that she was stopped at the border. This is what we've learned. WNBA All-Star Brittany Griner was arrested in Russia last month at a Moscow airport after a search of her luggage revealed vape cartridges. Footage released Saturday shows the WNBA star going through security at a Moscow airport and her luggage being searched. And here's that footage. And what I read was basically the translation from the Russian release. All right. Well, so obviously there is more to the story than what was initially released. Now, they've been holding her since last month. This is the 6th of March. Basically, a little bit more digging. They've been holding her for just since the start, right before the start of the conflict, of the invasion. And they don't like homosexual people in Russia. They're not real fond of strong women in Russia unless they're competing in the Olympics for Russia. Then never mind, that's a different tangent. They knew Russia, we've shown you the intelligence. Russia had this plan for a very long time. And there's speculation, that's a different tangent. I'm not going to get off on that at the moment. This is about Brittany Griner. And it's my opinion. This is just my opinion. They knew this was coming. They had a chance to hold her. They've been holding her. They just now announced that she was being held. So she's being used as leverage, and it will create a stir, and justifiably so, because she's being used as a propaganda tool, if you will, and probably will be used as a bargaining chip in some way, shape, or form at some point. And all of this is going to infuriate a lot of Americans, a lot of Black people, and a lot of women. So it's odd that they decide to bring this out today. Let's just keep it in mind, and know and be aware that how this played out. Russian media first announced that she was trying to get out today, and they found her with hashish oil. And then they bring out the actual clip from their security, and don't ever show, they never show any vape cartridges. There was no evidence if you go back and watch the video. But nonetheless, she's detained. And probably nobody in the United States knew she was detained until today. And there's a reason for all of that. That's not coincidence. That's not accidental. Okay. And yeah, I caught heat today over the story, saying that, I always have to include a Black story in my reports. Well, you know what? I'll make you a deal. I'll quit talking about racism when everybody stops being racist. There are white people that hate all Black people. There are Black people that hate all white people. That's monolithic thinking. And when everybody stops being racist, then I'll stop talking about racism. But until then, we got to keep talking about it, because it is too easily downplayed. I'll use that term, too easily downplayed. So let's get back to what is happening in Ukraine. And I spend a lot of time, watching what's going on, listening to briefings, and gathering information, talking to people. Those that watch this show on a regular basis know my background. I ran for Congress against Mike Pence. I'm a former United Methodist minister. I was a school teacher and a lifelong student, a journalist, a broadcaster. And now I'm working for the world, and it doesn't pay well, but it makes you feel like you're doing a tiny little small part of something good. Anyway, the reason I brought that up is because I took a break from watching all the war effort to watch some tornado chasing, and I'm not going to play the video of the person I was actually watching. But I am going to share this with you, and this is especially for those in areas that you never see anything like this. And this was shot by Taylor Bloyd, and you can see all different kinds of videos on YouTube. There was a significant tornado outbreak in Iowa today. I'm going to show you a couple of different videos. One tornado, it seems a massive tornado, F3 tornado, preliminary determined to be F3, stayed on the ground for about 3 hours. You'll see this one hit the electrical wires. And I've got one more little tornado shot to show you. That's how I relaxed this afternoon. You see, it splits up into at least 2 different vortices. And at one point, it was heading directly to Des Moines, Iowa, but thankfully veered away. Takes us to our next story. It's not just that Rubio and Daines took pictures of the Zoom call, which would have been bad enough, but they announced in real time when it was happening, so that satellites could potentially pick up the cell phone feed. I am gobsmacked that they would do that. So for those that don't know what that's about, here's a little something from, I believe this is ABC News.
From Vladimir Putin, the Russian leader saying sanctions from the U.S. and its allies are akin to a declaration of war. Hopes of a limited ceasefire shattered almost immediately today. Russian forces resuming offensive operations in Mariupol shortly after brokering what was supposed to be a 5-hour ceasefire to evacuate civilians. That city under attack for days. Today, Ukraine's President Zelensky appealing directly to American lawmakers for help, pleading for more weapons and the establishment.
Okay. Again, they were Senator Rubio tweeted that he was live at that point. And why? Okay. I know a lot of you watch this, know about IT, and know that you can trace anything, and people that are really, really good at it can trace even the most minute things. And first of all, why was this guy on video? That's the easiest thing to track. From now on, he should do nothing but audio. I know he wants to show the world he's already done that. He needs to do nothing but audio. It's much harder to track. And even he needs to be moving from location. He needs different safe spots. We know for a fact that, again, you know Chris, those of you that watch the show, Chris, our security and military expert, terrorism expert, and he and I communicated about this, and he needs to get rid of his cell phone. If he has a phone, it needs to be a burner phone. No, the fewer modern communications, the better for his life and his safety. Now, I'm sure his security people are telling him all of this, unless there's a major operational security failure, because I mentioned Chris, and we've discussed for a few episodes the Wagner Group, or the Wagner Group, the Russian private military that supposedly sent in 400 members to with a mission of assassinating the president, and those hired guns, so to speak, were all eliminated per sources. And we heard today 1,000 more have gone in. So the man's in danger. So senators trying to make themselves look more whatever, Senator Rubio, you got a job as a senator. It's a damn important one. And you spend a lot of time on Twitter when maybe you ought to be reading a bill or something. You know, those bills are like 400 or 500 pages long. He wants to be a Twitter superhero when being a United States Senator ought to be more than enough. That's a lot of responsibility. And whether he thought it through or not, he left it up there for 6 hours. So I would hope Zelensky would have moved locations by then, but if not, that location is compromised. However you want to look at it, that location is compromised. And I don't know if you're going to hear the mainstream media even talking about this. But it has to make you question, or at least it makes me question, you know, why? Why are they doing those things? Why are they doing those things? Do they not have tech savvy people that would go, hey, you shouldn't be talking about that because they can geolocate where he's broadcasting from. And for some of you out there going, oh, you know, you're making a big deal about it. No. We've been asked not to show Ukrainian soldiers in the field, you know, even though they're sending us social media wanting us to share their stories. We've now been asked not to, not because they're going to locate those people, but because they're going to locate those people's family. And I personally take that very seriously. And I know the people I follow and the people that share intelligence so kindly with me understand that importance. And I hope every independent media person understands it as well. I'm talking about his safety. And I got this. All right. First of all, I got this. Breaking that a member of the Ukraine's negotiating team with Russia, he was killed today. He was a Ukraine intelligence officer and was killed during an operation, Ukraine military intelligence. Okay. And this is that was the English translated version. Okay. I wanted to show you that first before getting to this. A member of the negotiating team on the Ukrainian side was killed. According to the preliminary information, he was liquidated by the Security Service of Ukraine during his detention on suspicion of treason. All right. That report came out. And within, well, just about as long as it took Twitter to recycle, this comes out. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry's main intelligence service says that Denis Kuryev was killed while carrying out a special assignment. There's no information about his treason or liquidation. So this is, you know, to us as just average non-military, non-special services, non-intelligence, and I don't mean brain power, I mean gathering information intelligence. It would seem like, well, okay, so what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is one of those two things are true. Either he was giving information to the other side, or and I have to question, is that not the case simply because he was on the negotiating team and had close contact with the other side. So if you're going to be, we just talked about how important it was to not leave a digital footprint, if you will, if you're the leader of Ukraine at the moment. Well, intelligence people know that. And if he indeed was not loyal, they're going to do it face to face. They're not going to communicate electronically and jeopardize both sides of the communication. So again, this is just something to be aware of. All right. As things go forward, we'll keep an eye on what really happened with this guy and how it plays out. Okay, I want to save that for just a second. I've got a couple of stories up here. If you there are diverse, again, this is my questionable post of the day. There are diverse journalists and experts, thank you, Mr. Rather, who cover and study issues other than race. It would be nice to see more of that represented on television in news cycles such as this. We're talking about race too much when we should be talking about other issues, according to Mr. Rather. Just something to think about. If you're in Washington, D.C. tomorrow, 2 p.m., national rally to support Ukraine, bring your flags and posters. It's at the White House at 2 p.m. tomorrow. The U.S. and allies are quietly preparing for a Ukrainian government in exile and long insurgency. That comes from the Washington Post 8 hours ago. Another race story. My apologies to those that are offended by talking about the fact that racism exists all throughout the world. The group includes American civil rights attorneys who represented the families of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Trayvon Martin, and Michael Brown. Yes, Ben Crump is involved. Global group of Black attorneys file a UN complaint for African refugees. Putin orders his cabinet to draw up a list of countries that have imposed sanctions on Russia. The guy jokes it's going to be a long one, but it is also a detailed enemies list. According to Ukraine's armed forces, the Russian paramilitary organization Wagner Group, or Wagner Group, has set up a base in the southern Russian city of Rostov-on-Don, from which they are recruiting mercenaries to fight against Ukraine. China, we firmly oppose any separatist activities seeking Taiwan independence. China warns the West as the report promises to resolve Taiwan question. We firmly oppose any separatist activities seeking Taiwan independence and firmly oppose foreign interference. The State Department issued a warning that United States citizens of Russia should leave immediately. They should have left a while back, but in Kiev, and I've yet to confirm this, but in Kiev, a woman knocked down a Russian drone from a balcony with a jar of cucumbers. This is no joke, but if it's a joke, it's a funny one. A little levity in the heavy times we're in. If it's not a joke, then good on you, lady. We talked about Lindsey Graham and how he basically said, we need to take out Putin. And I said, when I first heard it 2 nights ago, I said, okay, this may be the first and only time ever in my life I'll agree 100% with Lindsey Graham. But it's one thing for me to say it. Putin's not going to know I'm saying it, more than likely. There's like a gazillion to one chance Putin would ever know I was saying it. Pretty good chance when a senator's saying it. Giving him ammunition. Was it intentionally helping Russia with their propaganda against the United States? Man, I hope not. Was what Rubio and the other senator did intentional to try to help Russia? Man, I hope not. But there are so many loud pro-Russian, up until a couple of days ago in the Republican Party, that the longer this goes, the more questionable things we might see. I'm not condemning anybody. I'm not even accusing anybody. I'm just questioning questionable behavior. We don't tell you what to think or how to think. We just give you things to think about. And these citizens are basically surrounded. And they spent the day protesting, marching on the streets, singing their national anthem. These are people actually fighting for freedom. They're out there knowing that at any moment they could be slaughtered. The Russian tea room isn't Russian at all, but that hasn't stopped protesters looking to boycott all things Russian, even if it's only a name and a cuisine. The 100-year-old New York City icon has been hit hard. Nobody's making reservations to go to the Russian tea room. Many stores are pulling Russian vodka off of their shelves, and a lot of bars are now serving white Ukrainians and black Ukrainians instead of white Russians and black Russians. Reminds me of the days of freedom fries. Okay, I want to show you this map just for a second. Now, first of all, oh man, I haven't even been on this tab, have I? Have I not been on this tab? Son of a, my bad. I'm sorry. Again, it's new software, and probably nobody's even watching because I screwed this up. But let me go back and fix it here. There's the Russian tea room I just talked about. Here's the video that made me realize how lucky we are to live where we do if you're here in the United States, and how we bitch and moan about so many little different things when people all over the world, white people, brown people, black people, yellow people, red people, gay people, are all just wanting to live, just want to be left alone and live free. Again, Ukrainians marching. And I do want to show this as well. This is from 2 hours ago. I hit the wrong button. This is from 2 hours ago, and this is bombing that was happening in Kharkiv, again from just about 2 hours ago. Bombing going on in numerous cities. Odessa was expected to get hit tonight. I don't know. It may have happened as I've been doing this report. I haven't checked on what's happening live. But we do know Kharkiv was hit. Kharkiv is about 12 miles from the Russian border in the eastern region of Ukraine. Okay, I think everything else. There we go. I think everything else I was just reading, so I didn't abandon you too much. I apologize again. It's new new software. I'm getting used to it, and it'll get smoother. I want to point this out. First of all, I want to point out two things. First, this little tiny area right here that seems to be in Russian control. This area has asked to be recognized as an independent state. These are pro-Russian sympathizers on the border of Moldavia and Ukraine, and Moldavia is not happy about it. Ukraine's not happy about these people being here, and Moldavia is really concerned that this is going to quickly spread from Ukraine across their borders. The second thing I want to point out is the areas you see in red, they are not in total Russian control, okay? This isn't a movie. This isn't Star Wars where there are 7 million stormtroopers everywhere. There are portions where there are significant amount of Russian troops throughout these areas in red, but they don't control that entire area. Okay, just wanted to make that clear. This is you might have seen this on mainstream. This is a Russian helicopter getting shot down. I don't want to do that. I want to do this. There we go. This is a Russian helicopter getting shot down by a surface-to-air missile. If I can. Okay. I don't think there's any volume. There's not. Okay. And then the helicopter crashes. So the armament that United States and NATO are sharing with Ukraine seems to be having a really big impact on the Russian army. And as we get ready to close out here, it brings me to a question. You know, we just saw Ukraine shoot down shoot down a Russian helicopter with a surface-to-air missile, and we hear a lot. There we go. We hear a lot about Ukraine needs planes. Ukraine needs planes. Send Ukraine planes. Send Ukraine planes. And I've shown you, I've shown you footage of people stopping tanks with their hands. I've shown you footage of Javelin missiles stopping tanks. We just showed footage of bringing down a Russian helicopter. We've shown footage of jets that have been shot down. We've shown footage of countless things. We haven't shown any footage of the Ukrainian Air Force. All we know about the Ukrainian Air Force is a myth known as the Ghost of Kiev, Ghost of Kiev, who supposedly shot down 30 Russian fighters the first day of conflict. And, you know, we hear nothing about the Ukrainian Air Force doing anything, being successful, losing pilots. I mean, we hear about, you know, significant military personnel in the Ukrainian army. We just did a story about a close member of the president's staff, a deputy to the president, either getting killed on a special operation, which you'd have to wonder, I would think, why you'd be sending one of your deputies on a special operation. I would think somebody else might be able to do that. So again, I'm just giving you things to think about, not telling you what to think or how to think. So where is the Ukrainian Air Force? And if they haven't lost any planes, why are they crying for planes? And if they're not using the planes they have because of Russian, which I think is probably what the case, they're not flying. That's why we don't hear about it. They're not flying because while it appears the Russian ground forces are getting whopped, Russia still has a pretty strong air defense, and they probably can't match that Russian technology. I'm guessing that's what it is. And if that's what it is, why bring in more planes? You know, and I put this question to some analysts who are, again, hopefully I'm going to have an answer for you tomorrow night, but it just, something doesn't add up. Just something to think about. So, to recap, I want to go back to our first story, just in case some of you joined late and missed it. We did a breaking news report that Brittany Griner had been detained this afternoon on her way out of the airport with hashish oil. And Brittany Griner, a WNBA superstar, all-star, Black athlete who happens to be a lesbian. And we hear about this afternoon. Hashish oil, detained, not allowed to leave Russia. And then we find out this. I guess this comes from CBS, which got the story from Storyful online service, which got it from the Federal Customs Service of Russia. And a lot of this episode's been about the fact that everything we get from now on, or a majority of things, unless, and we'll find independent sources inside Russia somehow, and we'll get the real story out. But you saw the Russian writing. Here's the American translation, English translation. WNBA all-star Brittany Griner was arrested in Russia last month at a Moscow airport after a search of her luggage revealed vape cartridges Footage released Saturday shows the WNBA star going through security at a Moscow airport and her luggage being searched. I am not aware of, I mean, I know there are vape cartridges that are used in lieu of cigarettes, but I don't think there are vape cartridges that are used for hashish. So what I imagine, there weren't any vape cartridges. All right. Did you see any vape cartridges in the video? I would think they would be showing. Just something to think about. And I imagine what it was is probably CBD oil for injuries. A lot of athletes do that, or CBD salve or something like that, because it's gone from hashish oil to vape cartridges. Well, what kind of vape cartridges? And we didn't even see vape cartridges. So again, I have more than a feeling, and this is not a Boston song. I have more than a feeling that well, they've had her for a month, so they had her right before they got her right before all this happened, right before Russia invaded or re-invaded, which is actually historically the correct way of saying this, because this has been going on for a while. And they're going to use her as leverage. She's going to be used as a bargaining chip in some way, shape, or form. And I just hope that I hope they treat her well. I hope they don't mistreat her as some way of trying to prod or poke the United States into action. And I also have concern that the vice president, also a member of the Black community and a female, going into a very misogynistic area. And I'm talking about the region, anyway. I have concern about the vice president traveling into that region. And I mean, if I can do the analysis and know she's going to be a target, I know they can. And it's a dark world. We need to try to be a light. Each one of us needs to try to be a light. We do a little bit differently around here. This is called the American Dufus Show. And basically it's pretty much, it's totally unedited, except by me. It's unscripted and without any kind of pressure to say anything other than the truth. And that's what we try to do. Not everybody's going to agree with everything, and the truth don't make you any money, but it has to be said. I love y'all. Thanks for watching. I'll be back on tomorrow, and I'm going to start putting a notification up on both Twitter and Facebook. Somebody asked me to do that earlier, and I forgot to do it, as to when we're going to go live with the latest episode. And of course, if something major happens, heaven forbid, but the times we're in, we'll be on live. So hit the notification bell if you're watching on YouTube and you're a subscriber. If you're not, go ahead and subscribe. You can always unsubscribe later after this is over, but you're going to want to keep watching this as long as there's a major conflict going on, because we're going to show you things and tell you things and give you things to think about that other places just aren't. And at the moment, I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I question it myself. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And it's what I'm supposed to be doing. Playing a little tiny part in an information war that is going to be incredibly important to win, not only in the conflict that is at hand, but in those to come. It's the American Dufus Show. Namaste. Shalom, salam, peace, blessings upon each and every one of you. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to help the show stay on the air financially, the best way to do it's Cashapp and $, American Dufus, AMERICANDUFUS, all one word. If you want to reach out to me, you can do so in the comments or tweet or DM, or you can email me at American Dufus, or at email me americandufus@gmail.com. So again, love you all. It's a dark world. Do try to be a light. And it's the American Dufus Show. Don't be a doofus.